CPAC and values voters and other things. We get together, we pat each other on the back, and we clap vociferously for what people say. And then we go back and reelect people that is not advancing any of the things that we talked about. And I'm not saying the people that attend those conferences aren't doing it. I just want to find a way for us to be more effective in convincing the people that don't go to the conferences as to what the legitimate value is. But even at that, there's some controversy about this year's CPAC I'll get to in a second. But anyway, we're glad you're with us. My phone number is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Let me give you some of the headlines that are making news this hour. Ted Cruz started CPAC this morning and evidently lit into the IRS from the get-go. He is the Daily Mail out of London calling him a likely presidential candidate. And he said he wants to repeal every word of Obamacare, but he got the largest applause today when he said right out, we need to abolish the IRS, calling for a flat income tax rate and a user-friendly tax return that can be filed on a postcard. The gauntlet thrown, as the British Daily Mail newspaper says, as much of near century of tax collection as the Obama administration was Cruz's biggest applause line. By virtue of your being here today, he joked cautiously, tomorrow each and every one of you is going to be audited by the IRS. On Wednesday, the former IRS official in charge of vetting nonprofit groups again pleaded the fifth on a series of questions as it related to how conservatives have been targeted by the tax collecting arm of the federal government. Your thoughts on Ted Cruz abolishing the IRS? We can talk about that, certainly. Don't have a problem with that. But he kicked off the CPAC today with a pretty huge bang in ripping into the IRS there. And then there's another story today that I found. Where did I find it? It was here somewhere. Oh yeah, it's on Baldwin. It's on the thebenchthinker.com. But pro-life leaders are upset with CPAC because evidently there's not a single panel and not a specific speaker that are wholly dedicated to speaking about the pro-life issue. Breitbart.com noted that there are important panels like the IRS scandal, immigration, Common Core, privacy, gun control, criminal justice reform, issues in which pro-lifers are always keenly interested in, but pro-lifers generally pride themselves on being full-spectrum conservatives, that is, the three-leg stool, economics, national security, and moral. So they would not complain about panels on any of those issues. Is it significant that CPAC said we're not going to have any pro-life panels or speakers this year? I'm not sure. If you've got opinions on that, we can take those as well. 888-589-8840. Did you see this from ABC News? Evidently, there's a new poll saying that 59% of the American people support same-sex marriage. Now, ironically, and I say this no tongue-in-cheek, ironically, 51% of Americans also believe that homosexual behavior is immoral. So somewhere, somebody's got something mixed up, because if you have 59% saying they believe in same-sex marriage and 51% believe that homosexual behavior is immoral, that's just a self-contradiction that is of enormous importance. We could talk about that too. 888-589-8840. But the thing that kind of took my breath away when I saw it online today, and I'm still having a hard time that this has actually happened. I guess I just have one more reason to stay away from Boston. But the Commonwealth of Massachusetts High Court ruled yesterday that a man who took cell phone photos of the skirts of women riding the Boston subway did not violate the state law because the women were not nude nor partially nude. Now get this. The Supreme Judicial Court overruled a lower court that had upheld charges against Michael Robertson, who was arrested in August of 2010 by transit police after setting up a sting and getting reports that he was using his cell phone to take photos and video of female riders' skirts and dresses. The ruling immediately prompted top Beacon Hill lawmakers to pledge to update state law. The existing so-called Peeping Tom laws protect people from being photographed in dressing rooms and bathrooms when nude or partially nude, but the way the law is written, it does not protect clothed people in public areas, the court said. How insane is this? A female passenger on the MBTA trolley who is wearing a skirt, dress, or the like covering those parts of her body is not a person who is partially nude, no matter what is or is not underneath the skirt by way of underwear or other clothing. State law does not apply to photographing, videotaping, or electronically surveying persons who are fully clothed. In particular, it does not reach the type of upskirting that the defendant is charged with attempting to accomplish on the subway. Friends, you have a courtroom, and you have a judge in that courtroom, and you have the determination being made by that court that a peeping Tom shooting pictures up a woman's skirt is not illegal. Where does that come from? How do you get to that kind of moral quandary? I don't know. Is it the overall lessening of what moral standards are in general? I mean, when you think of the way that Mitt Romney personally handed gay marriage to Massachusetts, when you think of the way that in their public schools they punish parents that choose to try to opt their kids out of the pro-sexual agenda classrooms, is it really that unbelievable to think that a group of people in a state living in the same area, a pretty compact area in Massachusetts, can eventually come to the decision that blatantly immoral things that are taking advantage of other people are in some way not moral or not illegal? See, this is the slippery slope of how you get from what's the word I'm thinking of? Situational ethics. It's the slippery slope of situational ethics. You get into this and you say, well, they weren't fully nude. The women weren't nude. They had clothes on. So he can't be charged with Peeping Tom laws because they had clothes on. It's like the letter of the law versus the intent of the law, and that's where so much of our leftist hypocrisy comes from. They try to execute this very obvious, literal use of things in such a way that it removes the morality from the course of action. And if they can do that, then there's no moral standards anywhere for anything. So if we say it's immoral for a man to sleep with a man, or it's just immoral for a man to sleep with anyone before he's married, or it's immoral for married people to stay faithful to those vows, you put morality in some sort of definable box, and immediately the left starts to just try to unpack it as fast as they can. And eventually that way of thinking starts to infect the masses. This is why, friends, I tell you every day, we have people that have invested billions of dollars to keep you confused. It is important to identify truth and to amplify truth and to pursue clarity. So today, what I need you to do is understand, even the courts aren't going to try to help you understand what moral clarity is. They will only define what is legal. By the way, ladies, if you happened, and I don't know that any of you do, but if you happened to live in Massachusetts, what would your thoughts of such a judgment in such a case be? I'm just curious, because this is the thing that I find interesting. I doubt the judge asked women what they felt the understanding of the Peeping Tom law should include or should not include. Kevin, it's very clear. The law says if you take the pictures of someone in a nude or partially nude state, then that is what the Peeping Tom law covers. But, friend, don't you understand? If you put a camera up a woman's skirt, from the viewpoint of that camera, she is partially nude. To the lens, nope, she had clothes on the outside. So this guy doesn't even go to jail. This is the unwinding of the moral framework of everything that seems like it should be not a difficult thing to decide. Should society always punish a man who sticks a camera up the skirt of a woman that he is not married to and does not have permission to have that camera there? Yes. Why is that so hard to understand? Why is that so hard to comprehend? But the judge, well, technically, the law clearly defines that in the bathroom or in the changing rooms, they must be in the nude or partially nude state. Therefore, the law doesn't apply. You go survey 100 women on the sidewalks of Boston this second. If I had a man on the street crew, I would put him on the road and tell him to get up there. But I would love to see someone go out and interview 100 women just randomly and say to the women, okay, here in the state of Massachusetts, you have a Peeping Tom law. Do you believe that that violations of this law should apply to men who take cameras up the skirts of women on the public subways? Yes or no? And just take 100 responses from 100 women and see what they say. If you get 10% of the women to say no, I'll eat my shoe. That's how confident I am that this is not, that this judge is so out to lunch. The Supreme Judicial Court said that while such actions should be illegal, they are not, given the way the state law is written. Prosecutors said their interpretation of the state's Peeping Tom law was that upskirt photos are illegal. District Attorney Dan Conley, well, I'm glad the prosecutor's office has some degree of common sense. The district attorney said prosecutors are hoping state lawmakers will change the wording of the statute by the end of this legislative session. Hey, how about by the end of tomorrow? What we have is not that the Supreme Judicial Court is saying this is okay. The statutory language just didn't quite fit the conduct. Yeah, you can tell yourself that, district attorney, but at the end of the day, the court did say it was okay until the law gets fixed. Am I out to lunch completely for expecting sense that is no longer common to be how we run the world of now? Does that make me an alien or something? Am I on a spaceship? Am I from Mars? 888-589-8840. I'm Kevin McCullough. This is AFA Today on AFR Talk, and I want to talk with you. 888-589-8840. Coming right back on the American Family Radio Talk Network.